Paddy Power are gearing up for Cheltenham and offering non-runner money back on all races at the Cheltenham 2018 Festival. Paddy Power, you beauty! Applies from midday on January the 9th. T's and C's apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Hello and welcome to this Cheltenham anti-post postcast. This week we're covering the Triumph Hurdle. I'm Maddie Plale. In the studio I'm joined by James Hill, and we've also got Patrick Mullins and Rob Catterson on the line from Paddy Power as well. Coming up on today's show, of course, we're going to preview the Triumph Hurdle, which is just 24 days away now, would you believe it? And we're going to assess the whole field and ask whether Apple Shakira is as worthy favourite as she looks. And we're going to search some value further down the betting and get the lads' best each way shouts. So we've got plenty to get stuck into, especially having Patrick here. We can quiz him on the Mullins string as well. First off, Rob, I'm going to go to you, and can we get a full roll call of the betting, please?
Hiya, Maddie. Okay, so we're 11-4 about Apple Shakira. It's 6-1 Mr. Adjudicator, 7-1 Stormy Ireland and Farclas. We have a dream under this and our 8-1 chances. Saldier's 10s and it's 16s bar.
Okay, Patrick, welcome. I hope you're all okay. You joining us as usual from your Curragh Cafe. Have you been riding out this morning?
Yes, the usual spot. So just finished about lunch there now and ready for the day.
And who've you been on board this morning? What can you tell us about that?
Rode a couple of nice horse there. One was on Patrick's Park, one there in Leopardstown, and he's in good form after his race. And nice bumper horse that might run on Saturday, Stay Humble. He's entered in Fairy House on Saturday, so nice horse there. Perhaps
two for the notebook. Now, before we begin, I've just had one quick question that I want to ask you, and that's from MB Racing 24, and he asks, how's Salsaretta? Have you got any news on her?
Salsaretta's fine. She was entered in Clonmel for Tuesday, but we just felt the ground was very, very heavy down there. So, yep, she's 100%.
And any plans for which race she's going to run in, or?
None at the moment, but she's ready to run as soon as Willie finds a suitable race.
Okay.
So,
could she still be possible for Cheltenham, or is it just trying to get a run into her at this stage?
It's possible, but again, its time is growing short probably. So we'll see what Willie's going to have to make a decision there, whether to keep her at home or send her over across the water first time up. So I'm not sure what has been the decision made just yet.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks very much for that. Now, Jimmy, Rob gave us a full roll call of the betting there, starting with Apple Shakira. Is she is a good thing, do you reckon?
Well, I think come the day, Maddie, she could be. I mean, the Triumph picture is still a little murky at the moment. We've got a big weekend of trials coming up. There's quite a few horses which have only had one run, some who we've barely seen at all. But what she's shown so far, she's certainly in the right position at the head of the market. She's won all her races very easily, beating some decent juveniles. I wouldn't say her form is necessarily as good as her stablemate We Have a Dream on what they've done so far, but she's looked more impressive. It's all at Cheltenham, largely over the course and distance. And yes, I mean, unless something comes out of the woodwork fairly soon, I think she's going to be a real hot pot come the day.
Okay, well, we have, like you say, a few trials this weekend. So it'd be interesting to see if Radishan or something like that comes out of the woodwork a bit more. Geraghty's won 5 renewals of the Triumph Hurdle and Nicky Henderson 6. So you're clearly on to, you can trust these connections to deliver a horse for the race. Patrick, I presume you'd see Apple Shakira as the biggest danger to your lot that you send?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, she has course form, which is worth so much. She obviously has fantastic pedigree, being sister to Apple's Jade, who was in festival winning form as well. So she seems to tick a lot of the boxes. Like you said, the connections are right. Now, I mean, she obviously wasn't hugely visually impressive the last day, but I was talking to Barry Geraghty afterwards, and he seemed happy enough. I suppose the only thing is it's hard to keep those 4-year-old fillies maybe sweet all through the season, and she's had 3 races there in Cheltenham, so that's maybe that's a little question mark, but obviously Nicky's a master doing it, so I'm sure he's well able to have her spot on for the day.
I think they seem quite insistent that she'll be better on better ground as well, so it'll be interesting to see, but we don't know what the ground's going to be like at Cheltenham at this stage. And Rob, anything to add on Apple Shakira? How has the money come from her as she's kept winning these Cheltenham trials as you like?
Yeah, it has. We were 20s at the start of the season, and the morning before she won her first race, I think it might have been on the Paddy Power card, or the ex-Paddy Power card, the November meeting at Cheltenham. She was freely available at 14s. You'd like to be on that price now, like as the lad said. She's got something that none of the others have, and that's proven Cheltenham form. And in recent years, stamina seems to come into fruition in the Triumph Hurdle, and she seems to have an awful lot of that. She travels so well, she jumps so well, but she seems to have abundance of stamina. And in recent years, you've needed plenty of stamina to win a Triumph. Like, as Jimmy said, you'd have thought she's possibly going to be shorter than 11-4 come today. Obviously, she's a favourite the bookies are going to want to take on, but from what she's done so far, there's probably still a bit of value in the 11-4, and she's definitely a worthy favourite.
Okay, now we're going to move over back to talking to Patrick now about the Mullins string. We're going to go through a few names that could line up. Patrick, firstly, Mr. Adjudicator. Of course, he won the Spring Juvenile Hurdle at Leopardstown. What did you make of that run? Because he was pretty impressive in the end.
He was very tough. You know, he showed great battling qualities from the last home. His jumping early was a bit sticky, which was a surprise because he had jumped fantastic first time out when we'd had a hood on him. We left the hood off him for the second day, and he settled great, perhaps too well actually. But as the race went on, his jumping improved, and when he needed a good jump at the last, he got it, so that was good to see. He obviously stays very well because the ground was riding quite soft at the Dublin Racing Festival, a lot softer than it was at Christmas. And you know, I think he's a Grade 1 winner. His flat wins were on flat tracks like Listowel and Killarney, but he did run very well at Galway. So, you know, I don't think the hill in Cheltenham will be any problem to him. And I suppose on what he's of all our horses, he's the horse who's achieved the most. So, you know, it's very exciting for the Bobbits. And you know, I think a lot of credit has to go to Eamon Phelan, who picked him out as well from Joseph Murphy. So he's very exciting.
Yeah, also another horse who's very exciting is Stormy Island. Now, we've only seen her when she bolted up by 58 lengths at Fairyhouse. Have you got an update on her?
Yes, she's in fantastic form. She managed to book off her rider on Saturday morning there, so she's booking and kicking. She's only the height of the kitchen table now. She's tiny. She's, you know, we've had some very small mares like Key Vega and Sacenta. So once they have the engine, it doesn't matter. But she is very small. But she obviously has plenty of heart. She's a fabulous jumper. When she ran in France, they used to hold her up. But the day Danny rode her, we thought that she was fit, and she jumped so well, we decided to let her roll. And you know, possibly the horses in behind gave her too much rope, but she didn't stop. I mean, it was a staggering performance, and it was a pity not to get her out again, but Willie just wasn't 100% happy to go to Leopardstown, and he decided he'd just take his time. And I think we have her back to she's booking and kicking, like I said, and you know, she's had runs over hers in France, so it wouldn't worry me that she's only had one run. I don't think that'll be a negative for her.
Okay, and you run both of those in the Triumph? That's the plan?
Yeah, I'd imagine that they both deserve a crack at it, yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Now, a few sort of lesser-known names. Of course, Saudier won at Goran the other day. Is he a Triumph Hurdle contender in your eyes?
He definitely has the ability for it. He is a different type than the other two. Mr. Adjudicator is off the flat, and he's quite a small, short-coupled horse. And like I said, Stormy Ireland is the height of the kitchen table, whereas Saudier is a horse that could jump fences. You know, he's kind of like he's a different profile, and those French horses have changed the Triumph Hurdle now. It used to be all kind of ex-flat horses, whereas now you can have the likes of, say, Jacadam. Now, he didn't run the Triumph, but he was a juvenile, as we would call them. And I think whatever this fella achieves this year, I can't wait to see him as a 5, 6, 7-year-old.
Okay. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, no. So I mean, his performance in Goran warrants a crack at the Triumph Hurdle. So Willie decided that closer to time, but he has the ability to line up.
Okay, so plenty of bullets to fire. Just a few others that we've got wrote down here. I've got to admit, I haven't heard of an awful lot of them. I don't think some of them are run. But Oline, Jolie, Sasa, Seo and Saglowi. Are any of those possibly going to run in the Triumph, or is it just finding your way with those as you go?
Yeah, Jolie won in France. I think she came from the same place as Stormy Ireland, from Type of Faro. Probably needs a bit of time. I imagine she'd be well able to up the jumping fences. It's going to be hard. We didn't manage to get a run into her. So, we'd have to decide about the triumph. But I think it's not the end of the world if she doesn't go there.
Okay.
She's really a mare for the coming seasons, like Salier. Saglaway ran in Thurles, was a little disappointing, so I imagine we'll keep him at home. Seo won well in Naas. Again, he's your typical juvenile. He met a lot of trouble in running. And had every reason to get beaten in Naas, and yet still pulled out the win, which is always a great sign in a horse. He could again go to Triumph, but we might keep him for Fairyhouse as well, because they fall quite close this year with Easter being early. And was that all of them?
Yeah, I think so. I think that was. So your dad hasn't actually won the race since 2002 with Scalardi, but what do you make of the race these days? Because obviously horses like Apple's Jade have come from it. Is it a race you tend to target or not?
Yeah, it's a race we probably prefer to give our horses more time. I think getting them ready as 4-year-olds. But the type of horse for this race has changed since the French breds have come in. It used to be all ex-flat horses who maybe might get 1 or 2 or 3 years out of it, whereas now you can have a lot of these French horses that are ready a lot earlier. They're proper national hunt jumping types, and they can go on and be chasers. So I think the profile of the winner is changing slightly.
Yeah, of course. What do you think of Mullins' string, and which would be your favourite lining up for the Triumph?
Well, I think after what Patrick just said there, I'd be most interested in Stormy Island. I'm not sure she beat anything, but my goodness, she beat them a long way when she won back in December. She looks a very good horse, and I like the idea, the fact that fillies are basically they're in good form. They're the sort of horses that you really want to follow. She jumps particularly well. And the fact that she's going to Cheltenham in good form does make her interesting. Mr. Adjudicator's a good, tough, honest sort, but Stormy Island will be the kind of one that you could put in there. It could be anything bracket, really.
Thank you. I'm just getting my mic sorted out here. Robin, what can you see money coming for any of these hopes in particular?
Yeah, well, Stormy Island, like Apple Shakira, is a big loser in the book. And ever since he went non-winner, no bet, Saldier in the big loser. But I suppose the key with Willie's 3 towards the top of the bend, they've all got different owners, so there's no reason why they're not all going to take their chance. I agree with Jimmy. Like, when you put it in layman's terms, Stormy Ireland, she won a fair. It takes a fairly smart horse to win any race by that far. And like Apple Shakira, she's getting a 4-year-old and the mare's allowance. So yeah, as I said, like it's a long time since we've had a filly win the race. 2000 was the last time a filly won it, but with Stormy Ireland and Apple Shakira getting the age allowance and the female allowance, I wouldn't be surprised if they were first and second this year. It's definitely time for a filly to regain the Triumph crown.
Yeah, I'm in favour of that. All girl power. And finally, who would be your preference of all your runners at this stage, if you could hop onto one of them?
Well, it's hard with so little evidence on what they've done on the track. It's hard. But I mean, like I said, Mr. Adjudicator has achieved the most. He's the Grade 1 winner. I know Stormy Ireland falls into that could be anything bracket, and so does Salier. But I find when you have a Grade 1 winner, that's Mr. Adjudicator has the form in the book, and the rest will have to step up to his form.
Okay, fantastic. And we'll talk about the other market leaders and the main dangers after this short advert.
Paddy Power are gearing up for Cheltenham and offering non-runner money back on all races at the Cheltenham 2018 Festival. Paddy Power, you beauty! Applies from midday on January the 9th. T's and C's apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Welcome back to this anti-post postcast. We're covering the Triumph Hurdle. Now we're going to talk about the main dangers to Apple Shakira. Obviously, we've mentioned lots of the Mullins string already, Jimmy, but what do you make of the likes of Farclas? You spoke about We Have a Dream. You think perhaps his form could be better than Apple Shakira's?
I think, yeah, the form he's shown so far is better than what Apple Shakira's produced. That's nothing against Apple Shakira. I mean, she can only really beat what's been put in front of her, and she's done it, I think, pretty nicely. But We Have a Dream, I think the form he showed when he beat Sussex Ranger at Chepstow.
Yeah.
I think that's as good a form as there's been all season in Britain in the juvenile division. He also put up a decent enough time beating a decent enough horse of Paul Nicholls, Active Valour at Musselburgh last time. And he came over with a decent enough reputation from France as well. So he's definitely a solid player. I actually think, really, on what he's shown so far, he's a bit better value than Apple Shakira. But you're just not sure how much more potential there is to come. But yeah, really, apart from We Have a Dream, I don't think there's that much else in Britain that you'd get too excited about. Patrick just touched on what a different race it is now from what it used to be. There isn't that many horses coming into the juvenile division from the flat anymore. And I think in Ireland as well, the strength and depth this year hasn't been what we've seen in recent years. I mean, we've mentioned a few good horses like Fire Class and Mr. Adjudicator and so on. But if you think going a few years back,
Espoir d'Allen, of course, now he's
Espoir d'Allen, who's now unfortunately going to miss the festival. But a couple of years ago, we had horses like Ivanovic Gorbatov, Apple's Jade, Footpad, Let's Dance. I mean, they all came over for the Triumph. It was a really strong squad. Yeah. And I think Ireland had the first four that year. So it's a bit more closer this year in terms of who has the better juveniles. But I wouldn't say that there are that many of them coming through. That's why I think this weekend we're kind of really hoping that something comes out of the woodwork and shakes up the market leaders. Yeah,
I mentioned Radishan earlier. Now, he's won twice at Kempton by a combined distance of 20 lengths. He's looked pretty smart, and he runs in the Adonis this weekend. Robert, he's a pretty short price favourite for that race, isn't he?
He is, yeah. Like the way he won at Kempton the last day, you'd have thought that he's definitely on the short list of the home team. He's an 8-1 chance for the Triumph. You'd have thought if he's impressive, and the Adonis going back has been a pretty good trial, especially with Alan King and Nicky Henderson trained horses. So you'd have thought if he wins well, he's probably going to be no bigger than a 6-1 chance. So anybody wanting to back him for the Triumph would probably want to do that before Saturday.
Okay. And Patrick, what do you make of the likes of Radishan and We Have a Dream, our hopes this side the Irish Sea?
I mean, obviously, we Have a Dream has been eye-catching all season. And Munir's, I think this is the type of horse that Munir can do very well with. Munir and Suede. And again, he's trained by Nicky Henderson, who has a bit of a knack with this kind of race. But outside of Apple Shakira, there's and We Have a Dream. They're the two main ones. I mean, over this side, Espoir d'Allen obviously disappointed now doesn't go, but Fire Class has to have room for improvement because although he came from France, he's only had 2 runs over hurdles and in second to grade 1 and grade 2. So he's the one that could improve because he only had 3 or 4 runs in France compared to Miss Adjudicator had 10 or 12 runs in the flat in Ireland. So for me, he's the horse that could still be improving, and he's the one I'd be most worried about.
Okay, and of the Irish Challenge this year, do you agree with Jimmy that it's perhaps a little bit weaker than it was a few years ago, or would you say, they could still turn out to be a pretty smart bunch?
Well, it's hard to say because a lot of them haven't ran that often. Like, our Stormy Ireland and Saturday only had the one run, and Espoir d'Allen obviously has gone by the wayside, but he was there. I think Fire Class is very high class. Mr. Adjudicator is a good horse. I think the year they were talking about, that was probably a stellar year. I mean, for me, I'm not a major fan of the Triumph Hurdle. I think of all the novice races, it throws up the least amount of good horses in the long term. Now, I do think that might be slightly changing because we're getting a different type of horse, the French jumping horse, as opposed to kind of flat horses.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure this year is much different than a normal Triumph year for me, anyway.
Okay, let's move on to the horses at the bigger prices now, Jimmy. Any outsiders that catch your eye that you think could still be exposed and spring a surprise, or is it just sort of waiting and see at this stage?
Well, it's certainly wait and see for this weekend. I mean, I do think Sussex Ranger, at the moment, it's a decent price. And as we're speaking, of course, he's going to be running at Kempton this evening on the flat. So he's if you do fancy him each way, it might be worth getting on fairly soon. But certainly in terms of the form he's shown, I was very impressed with his performance at Chepstow in the finale on Welsh National Day. That would have been by far the softest ground he's run on. I thought he showed a really good attitude there against We Have a Dream. Whether he can turn the form around with We Have a Dream, I'm not sure. But I was very impressed with him on his debut at Fontwell. He won very easily at Sandown, stays well, and with his flat form, we know he'll handle Bella ground fine. So I would say at the each-way prices, currently he would be the value.
Okay. And Rob, what's the best chance of a British and Irish winner? Have you got any specials for us on this race?
I think we're about even money about an Irish winner, and we're a shade of odds on about an English winner. Like, obviously, for a long time, Ireland had a really poor record in it. I think we hadn't won it from 2002, from Scalardi to 2013, but we won 3 of the last 5. So, obviously, Ireland have been maybe targeting this race a little bit more in recent years. So, again, it could come down to the fillies, and it could come down to an Irish trained and an English trained filly. So what a finish it'd be to have 2 fillies fighting it out up the hill come the Friday.
Yeah, indeed. As we've already said, Apple Shakira, she gets that valuable course form, which counts for an awful lot. We'll be back in just a moment to get the lads' idea of their winner, their best bet in the race, their each way shouts, and of course their big race 1, 2, 3s.
Paddy Power are gearing up for Cheltenham and offering non-runner money back on all races at the Cheltenham 2018 Festival. Paddy Power, you beauty! Applies from midday on January the 9th. T's and C's apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Postcast, we're covering the Triumph Hurdle, but I'm going to quickly just draw away from that a second, Patrick. I mean, we could sit here all day and ask you about different horses, but one horse that I'm being asked about is Great Field. Have you got an update on him at all?
Yeah, Great Field is in training and working away. I'm not sure exactly what the plan is, but he has 4 legs and he's in full work. So we're hoping just to get him back. He should be back. Well, he should get a run this season. Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Any ideas? I know it's horrible to press you, but Cheltenham, do you think it could be a possibility at this stage, or perhaps aiming more Punchestown Fairy House with him?
He'll have to work now in the next 10 days, and we're very important, and we'll make a decision then. Okay,
excellent. Jimmy, first off then, quick fire, your idea of the Triumph Hurdle win at this stage.
I've got to go with Apple Shakira. They clearly think a lot of her, and she looks like she's got the right sort of profile, stays well, jumps well, got plenty of gears, and if she improves for better ground, yeah, I think she could be a good thing.
Okay, and Patrick, ideally you'll be hoping Mr. Adjudicator comes home in front, I presume?
Well, if any of ours come home in front, but like I said, Mr. Adjudicator has the grade 1 in the bank, so he's got the proven form as of now. So I think at the prices, he's the most likely one.
Okay, I'm really excited by Stormy Island personally. It'd be great if she turns up. And Rob, your idea of the winner?
Yeah, as I said, I think the fillies will fight it out. I'm torn between Apple Shakira and Stormy Ireland, but just the fact Apple Shakira has done it at Cheltenham on more than one occasion, and we haven't seen Stormy Ireland since Fairy House. I just think she's going to be the more sharper, and she's going to know where she is, and she's just going to have conditions more to her favour. I think it's a fascinating race. I think the two of them have the wow factor about them, but I just think experience could sway in Apple Shakira's favour.
Okay, I like the sound of that. Next is your best bet or your each-way shout. Jimmy, Sussex Ranger for you, perhaps?
Sussex Ranger for me, yeah. I think he's a good price each way at the moment, yeah.
Okay, Rob, what price can we get on Sussex Ranger at the moment?
He's 16s before the weekend.
That's pretty good. Patrick, have you got one down the bottom of the betting, perhaps Saudier or any of the others that could turn up that you might fancy at a bigger price?
Yeah, like I said, I really like Saldier. He might be an extra horse, but if he's kind of 10, 12, 14 to 1, I think he could do a lot worse than having a few quid each way in him. Okay,
brilliant. And Rob, your best each way shout?
Yeah, like it's so difficult, and I suppose with the Fred Winter entries coming out this week, you're probably talking from everything after Sussex Ranger downwards. It's probably going to run in the Fred Winter, like the likes of Machuca. It's going to go there. Gumball is going to go there. I get the impression from Patrick a couple of Willies probably aren't going to run anywhere. So, because on the process of elimination, you probably have to say Sussex Ranger at 16s is value. But obviously, we're non-runner, no bet. So if you knew something was going to run in the Triumph at a big price, you'd be mad not to probably back it now.
Okay, that's an interesting point, actually. The last couple of years, I think the Triumph's had quite a big field. So this year, if it cuts up a lot, it'd be a bit of a different sort of race if only a few run. Jimmy,
It used to be a big field every year, of course, didn't it?
well, yeah, of course. Your big race 1, 2, 3. Have a go. It's just a bit of fun.
Ireland have had a very good record over the last few years, but I'm not sure this time around. So I'm going to go with a home-trained 1, 2, 3 with the 2 Henderson horses. Apples Shakira first, We Have a Dream second, and Sussex Ranger third. I mean, Patrick's bulletin about Stormy Ireland could be the fly in the ointment's my prediction. I think she's a good filly. So I say it with not
Respectfully.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Patrick, a big race 1, 2, 3 prediction from you?
No, as long as it's Stormy Ireland, Mr. Adjudicator, or Salier, I don't care which order it is.
Fair play. I think we could all be understanding of that. And Rob?
Yeah, I'm going to go for Apple Shakira, Stormy Ireland, and Rhodesian to finish third.
Yeah, Rhodesian, of course, it'd be very interesting to see how he gets on in the Adonis at Kempton on Saturday. That's about it from us lot. Make sure you tune into Friday's weekend tipping postcast. Sure to be plenty of interesting nuggets there. And don't forget to rate and subscribe to the postcast on iTunes. We'll see you then. Thanks for joining us.
Paddy Power are gearing up for Cheltenham and offering non-runner money back on all races at the Cheltenham 2018 Festival. Paddy Power, you beauty! Applies from midday on January the 9th. T's and C's apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.